Boys and girls, this video is about being someone like me, a conservative who happens to also be homeless and next to zero income. A certain church group who work in the area where I'm living did me a kindness. This was about 5 months ago, just off the top of my head. They bought me a single hotel night stay at Motel 6 so I could get a shower. I actually managed 4 showers in that 24 hours I had the hotel room. The hotel room cost $77. Let me turn you around here. I've done some math for you. Okay. Motel 6, $77, one night. 4 showers, that's $19.25 per shower. Now, why did I break it down that way? Why did I not mention the fact of the bed or the TV? Well, the beds at Motel 6 are so soft that I cannot sleep in them. I have severe fibromyalgia. I have to sleep on a bed. Actually, I prefer a recliner, but it has to be almost as hard as rock. Most people hate my chair because it is so firm. I tried laying down on the bed in Motel 6. I did manage to doze off. I slept for about 15 or 20 minutes. I woke up in so much pain that I had to literally crawl off the bed because I could not sit up. I had to crawl off the bed onto the floor, crawl to the chair, and use the chair to help get up onto a sitting position. I then had to take a handful of ibuprofen and aspirin, along with 20 milligrams of OxyContin in the form of generic Percocet. That's 5 milligrams of Oxy and 325 acetaminophen. And then I had to sit there and suffer in pain until the painkillers all kicked in to ease my pain to where I could even stand and function. It was 3 hours before I could function again. And I hate taking pharmaceutical chemicals just to be able to function. So therefore, the TV was absolutely useless to me because I couldn't enjoy it. So since I had no use of the TV and no use of the bed, I would far rather have had some other source for the showers. Now, since that night, I have discussed with a few of the people from that charity group, which I'm not going to name. I don't wish to embarrass them. It wasn't their plan. It wasn't their way of doing things. Why, I don't know. But they've since seen the reasoning behind my train of thought. And they bought me. Now, I'm not saying they'll do this for everybody. It may not be right for everybody, but it was right for me. They bought me a membership at a fairly inexpensive gym. Again, I'm not going to name names. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying it's a cheap place. It was just inexpensive as far as the cost of the membership. It's called a one-year membership. It's actually 18 months. And they are open 7 days a week, but only open 24 hours on 3 or 4 or 5 days. I'm not sure. There's a couple days each week where they're only open for like 10 or 12 hours. It doesn't matter. The point is I could easily get 3 showers a day if I could get to the gym. And again, this is an effect of lack of income. I can't afford to drive to the gym to get 3 showers a day. I'm lucky to get 2 a week out of this because of the lack of gas to get there and back on. Hopefully that'll square around here in another month or two. I knock on wood. But I also did some math about that. Let me turn you around here and show you. 18 months is 547.5 days is 18 months, technically. If I were to get 3 showers instead of 4 a day, that's 1,642.5 showers. So let's say 1,643 just for even numbers. The membership cost, it was about $212, or I put it in the calculator as $220 just to be sure. So 1643 divided into $220 is 13.3 cents per shower, as opposed to Motel 6's $19.25. Yeah, so even if we get rid of the $19, the shower at the gym is still cheaper. So, what am I saying here? That sometimes it actually pays off to be a conservative. No, hell, it pays off to be a conservative most of the time. Now, as I explained it to the people I was talking to from this charity group, I'm not knocking what they do. I'm trying to suggest a more financially conservative way of spending the dollars. For those who are willing to go the way I go, they'll get more out of the money and less money spent. Because let's be clear, $220 is the round number I chose to attach to the membership for the gym. That's slightly more than 2 hotel night stays at Motel 6. So for the same money, you're going to get, if you had 4 showers each night, you end up with 10 showers total. Because like I say, the $220 is, it's not quite 3 nights worth of money to stay at Motel 6. So 10 showers versus 1,643 possible showers at the gym. Who's right? Like I say, this concept might not be for everyone. But I'd be willing to bet 90% of the people that are in the position I'm in would rather have the gym membership because they get more out of it, if they think about it. And that's the whole point of this video. I want to have people think. Use the melon God put on top of your neck for something other than a hat rack. Think before you leap. Think before you spend money. There used to be a time when I was flush with cash, and I used to help people out who were in the position I'm in. You know what, the one thing I never did? I never handed them cash. Why not? Because probably about 70 to 80% of people in the position I'm in, single, technically I'm single because the wife abandoned me, and homeless, between 70 and 90% of those people have a substance abuse problem. And you hand them cash, you're just enabling them. Yeah. Now, I understand that's the way the church groups look at it too. They don't know me from Adam. They don't know that I do not have a substance abuse problem. They see that I'm homeless and I'm single, and therefore I fit the criteria for someone who would have a substance abuse problem. I'm not going to fault them for that assumption. That's the way it is. There's that many people. But here's the thing. If you hand someone like that cash, what are they going to do? They're going to go and support their substance abuse issue rather than their living situation. I do not have that problem, thankfully. I still have a financial issue where I need help with things like, money for gas, to be able to get around. I have 2 bills that have to be paid each month, one of which actually technically I have 4. And 3 of the 4 are politely holding their hand on their backside waiting for me to get in a better financial situation. The 4th one is my storage, and well, he's not as forgiving and not as polite, but that's all right. and my income is just sufficient to carry the day on that one bill, month to month to month. Right now I'm looking at, see, today is Black Friday. I'm looking at December 1, I have a hearing with Social Security. I have to travel 90 miles. I think that's about what it is, between 70 and 90 miles to get to Torrington, Connecticut. To telecommute with a Social Security ALJ up in Manchester, New Hampshire. Now, I knew about this trip almost a month and a half in advance and had squirreled away a certain amount of cash for fuel. What I did not have squirreled away for was for the breakdown of my vehicle. It cost me $150 to fix what was wrong with the vehicle. This is 2 months running I've had to make repairs on the vehicle. Trouble is, I only had $70 to put away for gas. So it cost me more than what I had. I have a few friends that have a little bit of scratch to spare. They loaned me what I needed for the repair, but not enough to replace the loss of the gas money. So now I got to figure out how to come up with gas money to get to Torrington for that hearing on December 1. No, you won't see this video until after that happens, so. But I'm still going to have to owe for these things. And I'm going to have to find a way to pay for them. If I get my Social Security, I'm owed more than 2 years back money, I'll be able to afford to pay this stuff off. But if it's refused, well, I'm really up shit's creek without a paddle, because I won't even have enough money to buy the plywood I need to finish my survival shelter. That's what I'm waiting on, a supply of plywood. I need 15 sheets. At Home Depot, I'm not sure what a sheet of half-inch marine plywood is running these days. I'd rather have 3/4, but half will do. I think that's what, about $18 a sheet? That's a lot of money. And then, I've mentioned this in another video too, there's a fellow who is a YouTuber. He's contacted me by private message. He's making me a wood stove out of a propane tank, or at least he's pledged he is. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know that he is, other than he said he is. Please understand, I am not belittling, putting down. I'm simply stating a fact. Until I see it actually arrive, I don't know that he actually is making it. He's not showing it on his YouTube channel as far as I know. He apparently doesn't wish to have any publicity about it. That's fine. I'm simply going to leave it anonymous for the moment. If and when I hear from him, if he says he wants me to use his name, I will. But until then, like I said, he's not making videos about how he's making it and preparing it to send it to me. So therefore, I think he wants to remain anonymous. Mind you, that's an opinion. It's just a supposition on my part. But we'll see. The point I want you folks to take away from this video is you can do it without any income if you are slightly cautious with what little money you have. I have been out here out in the woods now. When I say out here in the woods, I'm not talking about this spot. Because since I left the apartment on the 7th of July, I have been in 4 separate spots. of which was only one night, one of which was only about a week and a half. So basically I spent most of the 6 months in 2 sites. And the majority of that right here on this site, out there. Yep, that's my rain shield tarp, all rolled up there. And that's the one that was the roof on my summer and fall kitchen. My shelving unit. And over there is, beyond is the porch. And beyond that's going to be my winter hooch. In the 6 months I've been out here, I've only actually received state aid for 3 months. The rest of the time, and for the 3 months prior to that, I lived on my tax refund from back in April, $2,000, and I survived for 5 months on $2,000. That included all the gas to move my stuff that I could salvage into a storage space that was too small to put everything into. I ended up leaving a dump truck of stuff behind. I ended up leaving a dump truck load of stuff behind. Now, granted, not all of that was mine. 2/3 of that dump truck load of stuff was my wife and my daughter's stuff they had abandoned. I probably had 2 full Dodge Ram pickup truck loads of my own personal stuff that I was forced to abandon and leave behind. That ain't much, considering they used a 10-yard dump truck to haul the stuff away in, I'm told. The rest of it was all the wife and daughter stuff. And I even salvaged some of the stuff they left behind. I mean, I showed you them coffee pods. Anywho. A person really can live and survive on less than $3,000 a year. So far, I've got 9 months tied up, and I've been surviving on $2,600 for 9 months. Mind you, I say surviving, not thriving. But that's because I have the necessary skills. Now, I've not taken you along on video and showed you my harvesting wild food. I'm a little clumsy at it because of my age and because of my physical impairments. But I have been doing it. I have eaten a great deal of the tubers of daylily. I have eaten a great deal of ground nut. Last month I went to a pond not far from me, and I harvested a whole heaping 4 bushels of wapeto. That would be arrow leaf root, for those of you who do not know the term wapeto. No, I haven't showed that to you yet. I don't know if I'll bother. My channel has never been about teaching the skills to live off the land. Yes, I teach those skills, but it has not been on my channel to do so. I don't know if I wish to change the direction my channel is going. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a little critter visiting me in my truck right now. Let me grab an empty full bottle and see if I can make it out. Well. Looky here, boys and girls. Well, looky here, what we have in here. What you see there on the inside of that pill bottle, that is called a jumping spider. These little critters, they do not make webs to catch their dinner in. They leap at their prey and subdue it and eat it. How he got inside the truck, I do not know, but I'm not going to hold that against him, because what this little fella eats are aphids and mosquitoes and ticks and what have you. So I'm going to release him back into the wild, because whilst he might bite me if he got on me, he's actually a friend of mine, because he eats all the other critters that want to bite me. And he would just as soon not be biting on me, wasting his venom on somebody as big as me. He would rather spend his venom on something that might also like to bite me and is more his own size. So when I get out of the truck, I will release this fellow out into the wild. Granted, last night we had 28 degrees. That might be why he was inside the truck. He was looking for a warm place to winter. But, stay lousy. He'll have to get out of the truck and fend for himself outside. At least it's getting up to about 51 today. This will give him a chance to find a shelter to winter in. Just not my shelter. So that's all I've got for the moment. Let me mention, last night, just before full dark, I had an entire herd of deer walk through my front yard. What do I mean by my front yard? Let me show you. Out past those two trees is the right-of-way that travels up from the road, headed up that direction, following those high-tension power lines up there. When I say my front yard, that's what I'm talking about, is that wide open space. And when I say a herd of deer, there were at least 15, of which only one was a very large buck. Now, if I didn't know for a fact that the temperature for the next 3 or 4 weeks is going to fluctuate in the 40s and 50s, I would have taken the opportunity to put that buck on the ground for table meat. But the problem is, I don't have electric-powered refrigeration. I have to rely upon the weather itself for refrigeration. And with the temperature, daytime temperatures getting up into the 40s and 50s, that's too warm to safely secure meat hanging on a tree limb in the woods. Because at those temperatures, meat will spoil over time. Granted, 40s and 50s for a week or two is good for aging the meat. But as I say, the forecast is for daytime highs in the 40s and 50s for the next several weeks. Now, if I thought it was going to be 1 week and then the temperature's going to be down into the 30s daytime highs, I might have put one of them deer on the ground, maybe. I have a compound bow and arrows with broadheads. I showed you the arrows when I was refletching. They're ready to go at a moment's notice, hanging in the back of my truck. The advantage to this is that's a nice, quiet means of taking game. I wouldn't have to worry too much about John Law coming along and busting me for taking game, because they won't even know I've done it. The ground in this area is fairly sandy, so I would be able to dig a nice deep hole to put the offal into and bury it. Now, does that mean it will stay buried? Maybe, maybe not. But not my problem. And I would carry it away from camp in a bucket before I dug the hole to bury it. Oh, and for those of you who are not hunters, when I say offal, we're referring to the guts and entrails that we do not eat from wild game such as deer. In other words, the intestines and the, gallbladder and stuff like that. Now, I tend to reserve the kidneys and the liver and the heart. I examine the lungs but dispose of them. Some people will eat the lung, I don't. But I do intend to examine them before I decide to eat the deer. Same goes for the liver and the kidneys and the heart. I examine them first. When I examine these organs of a deer, I'm looking for disease and defects and parasites. And if any of the above is found, depending on the severity, I may just leave the entire carcass right where it lays. I have not done that in probably 40 years. I did once, about 40 years ago, left the carcass lay right where it was. That particular buck was so riddled with worms that matter of fact, I don't even think I bothered taking the arrow out of it. I just left it lay there. The arrow still through it. I mean, the arrow went almost, but not quite completely through the deer. The broadhead was sticking out the far side from where it hit. The fletches were on one side, the broadhead on the other, the shaft still through the deer. It was quite a long shot. I'd say it was probably about 130 yards, the actual travel of the arrow before it hit the deer. Now, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, bow, crap, you can't hit a deer that far with bow. Yes, you can. If you are an experienced archer, you can hit a deer at that distance. But remember, I said the arrow did not travel clean through. My bow at 20 yards will put an arrow completely, cleanly through a deer. A big deer. I've done it at distances of 140 and 150 yards-ish. The arrow will pass most of the way through. Stick out on each side. But remember, I'm pulling a much larger, heavier bow than most people carry. Or at least I always have. I'm finding I'm needing to dial down the power on my bow more and more these days. I'm getting old. It's that simple. But hey, it is what it is. So, well, my memory card is probably pretty close to full at this point, so I'm going to end this here and say, welcome to Mark's World. Peace out from Camp Smithy.
By the way, don't forget to